Paul Hunter, an epidemiologist and professor in medicine at the University of East Anglia, is joining us from Norwich in the UK. Professor Hunter, good to speak with you. Thanks for being here. Now, first, your reaction to the news about the AstraZeneca vaccine being as effective against this new variant as the original one.
The English variant, yeah, that's actually not a surprise. We pretty much knew that was going to be the case. And the reason for that was that the English variant doesn't have what's called an escape mutation. Escape mutations are ones that interfere with immunity, interfere with vaccines. But we've known for some time that the English variant, unlike one of the mutations in the South African variant, isn't an escape mutant. So it was unlikely that that was going to affect the effectiveness of the vaccine at all for the English mutant.
Well, that would suggest then that perhaps for the other mutations, the vaccines may be ineffective.
Well, they're not ineffective, they're just less effective. And certainly the mutation that we worry about with vaccines is called E484K, and that is the one that reduces the effectiveness of vaccine and reduces the effectiveness of natural immunity as well from a natural infection. But it doesn't reduce it to the point that it's not working. It just makes it that bit less effective. And we do know from a number of the vaccines that have been trialled on the South African strain that although they're not quite as effective on the South African variant, they're still very good at stopping severe disease and stopping the need for people to have to be admitted to hospital, and also reducing the risk of them dying.
Professor Hunter, do you think that the headline figures of those efficacy rates of like the Pfizer and the Moderna at 91% gave us all a sort of a sense of hope? Because that's really high, isn't it, for the usefulness of a vaccine? Most vaccines are about 60, maybe less %, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was just amazing when people were coming out with efficacies in the 90%. And don't forget, it's not just one or two. Most of the vaccines, or many of the vaccines that have produced these results, are getting efficacies in the 90% range, which is tremendous and unbelievably good, actually. Yeah.
Now,
well, I mean, it is believable because it happens so often, but it's really tremendous news.
There it is. It's great news. And I wonder if you can just talk to us about these variants a little bit, Professor Hunter. Now, we're saying that they've mutated to become more transmissible and they're still checking whether they're more harmful. Do they ever mutate themselves sort of out of danger? Do they ever make themselves less harmful, these viruses?
Well, yeah, certainly that is possible. People have estimated that in COVID, over the last year or so, there have been tens of thousands of mutations all around the world. The vast majority of those mutations do absolutely nothing of interest to the virus. Sometimes they damage the virus and then that virus dies out. But occasionally you get a mutation that increases what we call the fitness of the virus, either because it's more infectious, like the English variant, or it's more resistant to immunity. It's an escape mutation like the E484K mutation on the South African variant and also on the Brazilian P1 variant as well, which is also an escape mutation.
And finally then, Professor Hunter, you will have seen the news coming out of Israel, the country that's way ahead in its vaccination program, that it seems as if the inoculation of the age group that's been given the jabs, they're now having less cases, less hospitalizations. How do you read that news? Is that a good sign that perhaps when you've had the vaccine, you can't transfer the disease?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is very difficult. We're seeing, at the moment, we're seeing a substantial drop in new cases in the UK. But disentangling the impact of the vaccination from the impact of the lockdown is very difficult. And this evidence from Israel is indeed reassuring. And it's indeed something that in the UK, we will be able to point out in our own data within the next few weeks, I'm sure.
All right, always good to leave these chats on coronavirus on a bit of a positive. Professor Paul Hunter from the University of East Anglia, thank you for your time, as always.
My pleasure.